So welcome back to another video here on the channel. We just got some Halloween Kills news. I wish it was a trailer. Some trailer news and not a spoiler, but hey. And we finally got some Candyman news. Finally. And I'm so glad Candyman has been a big secret. But this is something regarding its release. So, as you guys know, next Friday was actually going to be the premiere of Candyman. But sadly, that did not make it in the cards because obviously what's going on in the world with the Rona. Can't say the official name because I have heard YouTube, shadow, bans people's videos if you say that, and I have noticed YouTube hiding my videos, so I'm not saying it. But anyway, Candyman reboot may not get a typical release date, theatrical release. I've said that tons of times. Usually I'm right. Is the Candyman reboot coming? Is the Candyman reboot coming to theaters and VOD this September? Now, I need to clear two things out the way. The first thing, people get my words twisted. I need to make this very clear. I enjoy the movie theater experience. But if a film has to go to VOD or both, I'm fine with that. As long as I get to see the movie and as long as we can get a sequel. If you want, if Candyman goes to VOD, which I think it should, or at least both, how you have a limited run in the theaters and the VOD, you're going to need to support it on VOD if you want a sequel. And I'm going to explain why it makes total sense. So stick to the end. I'll explain why that in a minute. So, will Candyman go to theaters and VOD? This movie was supposed to hit theaters next Friday, but the release date has been pushed back to September due to the world's current state of affairs. Studios have made nearly all 2020 movies from early this year, pushed it back to earlier next year. Christopher Nolan and Warner Brothers are still attempting to put out Tenet, I think that's a Tenet, this summer. I don't think that's going to make it, and even if it does, you're not going to make your money. Because people are not going to rush out as people think they are. Even though movie theaters also across America are still shut down. This is where I want to start getting my opinion on something. The first thing, Candyman needs to go to theaters and VOD. If it can go to theaters, cool, put it in theaters. But it needs to go to VOD as well for this thing to be successful. If Candyman, was, just going to go to theaters, let's say last year or the year before, okay, it would have been successful, because everybody would have been able to go to the theaters and everybody would have been, fine and not scared of going out. Here's the thing, think about this, and I don't remember the person's name, but they commented under one of my Halloween Kills videos where I talk about like Halloween Kills going to VOD or theaters. I forgot that person's name, and if you are watching this video, I do apologize that I forgot your name. But they was talking about their theater is open, but they're limiting people. Think about that. They're limiting people. So if they're limiting people in the theater, that means people can't buy their tickets in advance. And that means lesser tickets are sold. If lesser tickets are sold, that means the company, the movie studio that makes these films, aren't really making anything back. Because movie studios take the big chunk. They take a high percentage from the tickets. If it's just a small portion, they're going to have to find another way to make that income. And I think it's with VOD and, possibly just put it on, Blu-ray in December or the But the point is, let that sink in. Really think about that. If they're limiting, if theaters open, which I've heard Cinemark is rumored to open this month. I don't see it happening, but they're thinking about it. If you're a movie studio, logically, if you're a movie studio, would you just put your movie to, sending out to theaters that are limiting people? And some theaters may even still be closed. You know, you have to just send it to a few theaters and just pray to be successful. No, if you put it on VOD and put it, in theaters, it's a guaranteed success. Because the first reason why I'm so happy that Candyman could go to VOD, that means I can see it and you can see it. You know, like I said, I'd rather have the movie now than wait a year or even two. I'd rather have the movie now. So putting it on VOD will get you to see it and me to see it, and guess what? It gets the potential for a sequel, because a movie has to make money for a sequel if there's plans for a sequel. Because the only thing the studio wants is money. The director, the producers, yes, they probably want a sequel, but Universal, they want the dollars, they want the money. They don't care about a sequel. They don't have to make a sequel. They don't. So really let that sink in for a minute. If they're limiting people in the theaters, that means limiting money for their tickets. Yeah, they can raise the ticket prices, which they probably are. But again, they're going to limit people. That means lesser money, and people are still going to be afraid to go to the theaters. So people are so you got, losing half of your money, and people not going to the theaters because they're still scared of what's going on in the in the world with the Rona. It would be very smart if they did put it on VOD. And off topic, I said this about Halloween Kills. It needs to go to theaters and VOD. I said my piece on that. And if it just has to go to VOD, just put it to VOD. But anyway, in social media sayings, original Candyman star Tony Todd confirmed that the remake was going to premiere in theaters on September 25th. When someone said they was concerned about going to a movie theater. See right there. Somebody said they were concerned about going to a movie theater. For obvious reasons. Todd posted the release date again, which started to get people thinking about the VOD release. Adding to the speculation, Todd retweeted another fan talking about Candyman releasing on VOD and theaters the same day. For now, it looks like the Candyman reboot will be opening in theaters on September 25th, with an option for horror fans to also watch it on VOD from the comfort of their home. This is yet to confirmed by the studio or anyone else, but Tony Todd is pretty excited about this, and I am too. Because if we want a sequel, it's got to go to VOD. It's got to. And theaters. Because, it is looking like it's going to go to theaters. I'm not going to lie. It is looking like it can go to theaters. But they still need to make that extra money. The only way to do that is with VOD. Because, again, limiting people in the theaters, limiting money. People still scared of the Rona, they're not going to go to a movie theater. And I've said my piece on this. I'm not getting into it. But to me, just limiting people in a movie theater is not going to work anyway, because the workers are like this, and you're in a, you're sitting in a theater room with around to 6 to 20 people sometimes. So, not getting into it, but even limiting people in a movie theater, it's not going to work. But not getting into it. Universal's putting out Candyman reboot, and they have one of the movies to stream VOD. Yeah, like Universal has had success with putting their videos, not their videos, their movies to VOD. Movie theaters has been closed since the middle of March, so a lot of studios have decided to shelve projects rather than release them straight to VOD. Studio has teased some of the future releases might end up going straight to VOD, and the Candyman reboot could very well be one of those releases. For now, I just had to wait and see how things go. See, again, it was Trolls. Trolls was going to be a really big kids movie for Universal. It went to VOD and it made a lot of money. Yeah, you could say that was because people was on lockdown at the time. But really think about this. Like, again, I'm just going to let that sink in. Well, I feel like that's going to be a hard decision, because it's like, do you want to put a movie in theaters, or just put it straight to VOD and that's it? But I do see them putting it in theaters and VOD. If they don't put it on VOD, I do not want to hear Universal complain that it didn't make their money. I do not want to hear that from Universal. You know, in like November, like, you know, October. Like, I don't want to hear that. Like, I don't. So, I am hoping that it can go to VOD as well. I hope that it can go to the theaters. I would like to see it in the theaters, but I don't even think I can go see it in the theaters, to be honest. You know, again, I don't think, again, I said this before, I don't see movie theaters fully opening until like mid-October around the release of Halloween Kills. And sadly, some movie theaters may not open until mid-November. That's why I think Halloween Kills will go to VOD and have a limited theater run. And I think the same thing with Candyman, because, you know, I can see Universal doing something, you know, like, obviously, you know, letting it have its run in the movie theaters, putting it to VOD, and then reaching out to drive-ins. Drive-ins are making a big comeback, so I can see Universal, you know, reaching to some drive-ins, let's say, here in my state, or in New York, or in Jersey, or Florida, just to name some states. I can see Universal putting in that work, if they want to, sending these movies to drive-ins as well, to make that extra cash. Because again, I'm going to say this one more time. If this movie goes to VOD and theaters, but you can't see it in theaters, still support it on VOD. If it just goes to VOD, still support it. Because if you want a sequel, you want this movie to be successful, support it any way you can. If it shows up at your local drive-in, go to your drive-in and see it. Support this movie any way you can when it comes out. And the same thing goes for all the other movies that come out in September and October and November. Same thing goes for them as well. Support these movies when they are released, whether that be straight to VOD, theaters and VOD, a limited run into theaters and VOD. Support. You know, because at the end of the day, the movie studios have to make their money for a sequel. You know, so if you enjoyed the video, smash the like button, please subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let me know in the comments below, how do you feel about Candyman going to theaters and VOD? I think it's smart. I think it's smart. I think it's smart to put it on both. Because again, limiting people means limiting the money, and people are still scared. I've said my piece on this in other videos. People are not going to rush out to the theaters probably till like mid-December or like mid-January. You know, all the restaurants are, are starting to open in a lot of states. You know, even in my state, there's a lot of restaurants opening, but guess what? Not a lot of people's flocking to them. So, if you enjoyed, so like button, please subscribe. Let's have a discussion in the comments. Let's have a big discussion in the comments below, and let me know how you feel about Candyman going to VOD and theaters, or how do you feel about possibly just going to VOD? Do let me know that in the comments below. To everyone in the next video.